You guys know I've been collecting fragrances for quite a while at this point, and in today's video we're going to be going over just a handful of the scents that I've really gotten the most use out of. So these were ones that I purchased, and they definitely paid off in the sense that I was able to wear them often. I really enjoyed them, and I feel like I've gotten my money's worth of my use out of them over the years. Some of these are a little bit newer, but a lot of these have been around for quite a while, and so we're just going to start working through these here. We're going to actually start off with a Tom Ford. This one is Grey Vetiver Parfom. Now, this is obviously going to be the newest version here, and I've worn the Eau de Parfum and actually the Eau de Toilette quite a bit as well. These days, the only ones you can buy is the Parfum and the EDP. But it started off with the Eau de Toilette, ended up picking up a bottle of that, and then actually getting the EDP first, kind of working my way backwards and tracking down a bottle of the Eau de Toilette. The EDT is a bit brighter, but nothing major. The Eau de Parfum just has a little bit more of a heaviness to it, and this Parfum takes it even a step further, a little bit more heavy and a little bit more strong as well, but still a fresh, soapy, clean vetiver scent. That is what this is all about. I mean, just taking the cap off and wafting this around in the air, you can pick up on it. It smells fantastic. When you're talking about an expensive smelling, classy fragrance, Grey Vetiver is one of the best. So it doesn't really need much of an introduction. It's vetiver based, again, of the more soapy variety. It's not overly earthy, it's not overly strong in you know, kind of a heavy or you know, sweet type of way to some extent. It's much more fresh, much more bright, much more clean, kind of aromatic as well. It's the perfect signature scent that you could purchase. Now, it's expensive. Not everybody's going to want to utilize it as a signature scent, and that's totally understandable, but just know that it is capable of being used for that type of application if you wanted to. You know, for me, it's simply just kind of what they call a dumb reach scent or something like that, or a beater scent, where it's like you don't really have anything else in mind. You just need to get going. You need to pick something up and spray it on and get out the door. Something like Grey Vetiver is perfect because it'll work. Formal, casual, fall, winter, summer, spring. I mean, it simply is just going to work. There's not really going to be anybody who thinks that this smells bad. It smells nearly fresh out of the shower, just not in a blue fragrance type of way, more like a premium, sophisticated, classy type of way. All right, now this next one here is going to be more, you know, fall and winter leaning, but beyond that, it's more of just a date night scent for me, and really even just an evening scent in general. It doesn't have to be a date night, although that's kind of what it's been dubbed as. So it could be an evening scent in the summertime, in the spring. It doesn't really matter, but it's one that I've gotten so much use out of. It's YSL La Nuit de l'Homme. I've got multiple bottles of this one too, so like this is obviously the 200 ml, which I got very early on. Actually, I think this is the first bottle that I ever got, I believe. And then I kind of worked my way through, got a bottle of the art edition, I think is what it was. That kind of collector's edition, just because it was an older batch. Went all the way back and got a 4-digit, you know, first batch bottle, small little bottle, tracked a bottle of that down. So I've got a lot of the stuff to go around. Now this is all about the cardamom and the lavender. I mean, and that's basically it. But what it's known for is the cardamom. You could say that this kind of put that note on the map as far as men's designer fragrances. Now, even said that, it was never as big of a trend as like blue fragrances or iris or, you know, even, I don't know, aquatic based scents as well, which kind of is a trend a little bit, but just a common smell. This never took off in that type of way. Yes, there's been some cardamom scents here and there, but nowhere near as much as maybe you would expect given the overall success of La Nuit de l'Homme, but I digress. It smells amazing. Such a warm, sexy, inviting, and ultimately mysterious smelling scent. I love it. You know, this is not something that I wear during the daytime. You can, of course, and you could probably swing this one as, you know, pretty close to an everyday scent with some limitations, of course, but it could work, right? And maybe it's not what the intended purpose is, but you could do it. I believe this translates to man of the night, or night of the man, because I know Homme is man, so I had it backwards there, but something along those lines. It smells like an evening scent, okay? And so if you want something for the daytime, the regular L'Homme is perfect for that. And then you can layer this one over top of it, heading into the evening for whatever situation you've got going on. But for me, I love it in the evenings. I love wearing it, even if we're not going out, even if we're just hanging out at home. There's just something so satisfying about this one. And ultimately, I like it. Me personally, I love how it smells. I like to sit there and smell it, you know? So I'll wear it just for me. That's how much I like this stuff. So as you can tell, I've gotten my fair share of use out of it over the years, and that will continue to go on as well. I don't see them really ever discontinuing this because it's kind of like a flagship, and I don't see that happening. But, you know, if they did, I'd probably have enough to last me a lifetime anyway. All right, now this next one here from Chanel might catch you off guard because, you know, I talk about Bleu de Chanel, EDP, Parfom all the time, Allure, Homme Sport, Sport Extreme. Love those fragrances. I love Chanel mainly because they have a relatively limited selection of scents, but what they do have is amazing, okay? Now this one is one that I don't talk about much anymore. It is Chanel Allure Homme Sport. Now this is the Cologne Sport version, all right? So this, you know, it's been around for a long time. It's been mentioned. I've talked about it, but this is one that I've gotten a ton of use out of over the years and have really thoroughly enjoyed. Now they've gone through some changes, just like the rest of the lineup. You know, there was a point when like Allure Homme Sport Extreme was an Eau de Toilette Intense, for example. That's what it was. They changed it over to an Eau de Parfum concentration. Now, in the case of Allure Homme Sport, this one is called Cologne Sport. You can see at the bottom, maybe this is kind of a hard bottle to get on camera, but it's down here, Cologne Sport, right? This is what the new bottles look like, just Cologne, right there, okay? So if you were to buy this now, this is what it's going to look like. You know, it's just Allure Homme Sport Cologne. This is the old one, Cologne Sport. I'm showing this because, well, you could tell by the level I've worn this one more. I've had it for much longer, so that's why I'm showing this one. As far as differences between the two, there aren't any, so don't fret about it too much. This one has lemon, orange, aldehydes, bergamot, grapefruit, and a ton of other notes as well to go along with those that they list off. What does it smell like? Well, it kind of rose to fame because it smells a bit like Dior Homme Cologne. Also a favorite of mine. Also one that I've gotten a ton of use out of. Now, what is the difference? Because, right, there's a bit of a similarity, but there has to be differences. There are. The Chanel has more going on, and you can tell that pretty much off the first sniff. There's more of kind of a sweetness to it. There's more of a heavier base to it. There's just more going on in the background to support all of the bright citruses. Dior Homme Cologne is really very, very basic and very simplistic. They list off 3 notes. Are there more than that? Realistically, probably so, but it doesn't really necessarily smell that way. You basically have got kind of a white floral, citrus, and a musk, and that's basically it. And the white floral is kind of like an orange blossom type of mixture, or maybe it's a grapefruit blossom. I can't remember, something along those lines. But this one, there's just a lot more going on. Primarily, you're getting this nice creaminess from the orange, which was absent in Dior Homme Cologne. So there are differences, and people will make the argument, you know, if you're going to be spending this much money on either the Dior or the Chanel, maybe you should get the one that has a bit more substance to it. And that's a very fair argument, and if that's kind of what you want, then the Chanel would be the one for you. Now, in terms of ultimate high heat performance, the Dior still takes the cake. So I've talked about that one many times of being like, you know, when all else fails, it's 100 degrees outside, heat index of 110, and it's just sweltering and very humid. You know, typically you might not want to wear anything, but if you wanted to, Dior Homme Cologne would be up for the task. That rings true. I wouldn't put this one on that, okay? This one, again, there's just a bit more going on. It would get a bit too sweet and cloying in that type of environment. So again, there's just pros and cons to each depending on what you're trying to do. But as overall depth and complexity is concerned, this Chanel is going to take the cake. And again, I've gotten a ton of use out of this one. I love wearing it in the summertime and in the spring as well, but mostly summer for me. Amazing quality. Performance is nothing to write home about, but it's not horrendous given the circumstances. And it's a solid, solid scent. Move over into more of a fall and winter scent. Again, we have Prada Luna Rossa Black. Now, this is a super easy wear for me, and mainly because It's tonka bean and amber. That's legitimately it. So it's kind of powdery and sweet. And that's all. Now they list off a couple other notes as well. I can't even remember. I think one was some sort of floral note or something. Don't really get, I think it was a heliotrope note. Not really getting a whole lot of that, to be honest. It's all about the powdery tonka bean and a little bit of a sweet, but also slightly dusty amber accord as well. And that is Prada Luna Rossa Black. Because of that, you know, this is a little bit more of a daring scent because it's just, there's nothing else other than just powdery and sweet, right? Not everybody likes that. And it's not something that I wear in every situation, right? It's easy to pull off, but are times when I want something different. I want something maybe more gourmand, more sweet, more interesting, more rich, because realistically, this is pretty simple as well. But it goes back to, this is easy to wear. This is something I can pick up and I can spray on and I'm good and I don't have to think about it. And that's what I like about it. You can get 100 ml bottles for about 80 bucks right now. I'll link it down below. That is a fantastic price. You normally don't see it below 100 anymore. It's just not very common. So make sure you scoop it up if you are interested. All right, let's keep it moving with Missoni Wave. Absolutely love this stuff. What does this smell like? Well, it's kind of like a mixture between Versace Pour Homme and Chanel Allure Homme Sport. Now, not to be confused with Allure Homme Sport Cologne, completely different, okay? Completely different scents here. Allure Homme Sport mixed with Versace Pour Homme. That's what this is. It's taking the brightness and the freshness overall from the Versace and mixing in a little bit of that creamy sweetness from the Chanel, which Allure Homme Sport does have a bit of that aldehydic, smooth creaminess, whereas the Versace didn't as much. The Versace was mostly focused on bright citruses and florals off the top, and musk, of course. So that's kind of what this one does. It just combines the both. And then it gives it to you for, you know, I don't know, $35, $40. Versus if you were to buy each of those separately and mix them together yourself, you're looking at, I don't know, probably $150, $160 or something. Actually, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much the Chanel retails for, but I know the Versace is usually about $40 on discounters or something, and I would think the Chanel will be around $120-ish, but I don't know. Either way, no matter what way you look at it, it would be more affordable to buy this if that description sounds good to you versus layering them yourself, unless you already have both of those. If you already have both of those, you can decide if you think that this makes sense to buy. It's still 40 bucks, man, you know, and you're saving your more expensive Chanel anyway by wearing this instead, and the Versace is kind of more of a toss-up because it's about the same price as this. It's almost to the point where, should you rather buy the Versace or Missoni Wave? Man, it's really tough to say, especially because I'm partial to the Versace Signature, Versace Pour Homme, a true classic, but man, this adds a lot of bang for your buck, even down to the most minute things like a magnetic cap, right? That's going to be the selling point for some people. Now, keep in mind, don't buy a tester if you want the cap because they don't come with them. So it's going to look like this. If you want that cap, you got to get full presentation. But I love this stuff. I've gotten my use out of this as well, as I have with the Versace and that Chanel as well. We're going to go to a niche fragrance here. It's the only niche fragrance in this video, and man, this could have gone 1,000,001 different ways. You know, you're probably thinking Creed Aventus, Elysium, you know, some sort of Killian fragrance, and all of those would be ones that could have been slotted in here. Kind of predictable. So let's go for one that maybe I haven't talked about quite as much, but I've utilized a lot. It is Roja Enigma in the Parfom variant. I've talked about Enigma or Creation E, don't get me wrong, I definitely have, I love it. Mostly featuring the Parfom Cologne because it's the more cost-effective one, but I've worn the Parfom quite a bit as well. Absolutely love it, okay? I mean, what you're purchasing here is the perfume concentration. That's what it is. That's why you're paying more. This is a true Parfom. The Parfom Cologne, kind of their own invented you know, concentration, which now they've switched everything over to an EDP, so we'll just say that that's an EDP because it most likely is. You know, the difference could be anywhere from, you know, 15 to maybe 30% difference in concentration, right? So again, they usually don't publicize what concentration they're using at each one. There's only just general guidelines of what an EDT, EDP, Parfom is, and so on, but generally that's where it could be, right? Somewhere in that range, which usually makes a pretty big difference. You guys know I love my Parfom fragrances. If there was one concentration I had to choose for life, like have everything in, it would be a Parfom. Some people prefer the projection and the bright pop of eau de toilette and eau de parfums. and it's you know, that's a great thing to have. I prefer the richer, more intense wearing experience of just having that heavier scent and that oily film that it leaves behind. You could just tell that it's gonna work. And then also just not so much the projection distance, but the trail that a highly concentrated scent will leave behind is usually going to be much stronger. But yeah, I love Enigma. I love Creation E, whichever one you want to call it. And you don't have to get this Parfom. The Parfom Cologne EDP is amazing, and I've worn that one a lot as well. But when I really want to go all out, I go for this one, and man, it is a strong scent. It's got the cognac, it's got the tobacco, it's sweet, it's boozy, it's rich, it's smoky, bit of a benzoin vanilla mixture in here as well. It smells so good, and yet another one that just smells premium. It smells expensive, and it definitely is, so I would hope that it does, but it's just nothing else quite like it. You know, it really is something unique. When you do wear it, it's just, you can tell that you're wearing something special. You can tell that you're wearing something different and really cool, and people usually take notice of that as well. It's a big compliment puller, just a big head turner in general, because it's kind of hard to miss. Last up for this video, we're going fall and winter again, but we're keeping it much more affordable. Gentleman Eau de Parfum, just the original. Now, the Reserve Privé I've worn a ton. It's a little bit newer, going all the way back to close to the beginning of my collection. The Eau de Parfum was in heavy rotation. Absolutely love it. Vanilla, iris, black pepper. Smells great. It's the iris DNA, but with more of a vanilla focus, making it more wearable, more versatile, and simply more mass-pleasing than something like Dior Homme Intense, which could be a little bit too powdery for some people, both whoever's wearing it and the people around them. This is a much more safe option. Because of that, which basically it came down to the added versatility, I've gotten a ton of use out of this. Now, make no mistake, I've worn the heck out of Dior Homme Intense as well. Easily could have slotted it into this video, but had to choose only one. I didn't want to be redundant with the iris picks. And I figured, hey, the Eau de Parfum still deserves some love because it is still an amazing scent, even today. Even though there are flankers, even though it's not talked about as much, it's a great purchase. Links will be down below. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.